Incoming hostiles.
Hello and welcome to Ware Gaming Weekly for the week of April 10th, 2019. My name is Nick, and alongside me is my brother Josh. Say hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm very tired.
Very
it's
tired.
Also very hot in this room, in this house.
It
in
is
this
hot
world right now.
I say that wearing a sweatshirt, but
yeah. So you may not know this about me, Josh, but for a living, currently, I drive vehicles that deliver packages. The vehicles deliver the packages, and I just
drive the vehicles.
I would love.
I would love that.
I would do that job so much now. I deliver packages on behalf of Amazon, and the vehicle I drive, the big blue Prime, that has a giant on the side. It is like an oven, or it just like is cooking the entire time. And my AC, which worked fine yesterday, was not working today. It just would not turn on for nothing. I mean, it was blowing hot air, and so, and also, you mentioned wearing the jacket. My kind of, that red jacket I always wear, that's kind of I always wear it at work, and it took me until about, I looked at the little thermometer on the van, and it was like, it's 74 degrees outside. I'm like, I should probably take this off.
Yeah.
But it's like a safety blanket, it's like Linus's thing. I just, I like having it on. And everyone give me a strange look. I'm like, are you giving me a strange look because I look funny or because I'm wearing a sweater or both?
Yes.
Anyway, for your information, how was your day?
My day was great.
You're no longer driving for Amazon.
I am not driving for Amazon. I am mowing grass, and you can see I've already started to develop. This is today.
Yeah.
Before this, totally white. Pure, pasty white.
You're still white on the inside.
Yeah.
And right there.
Yeah, and right there. But yeah, great day.
So
it was nice. It was nice outside, not cooking in an oven, but I was outside in the breeze.
Yeah. Every few minutes, that was.
Right.
But wasn't enough. For your information, Ware Gaming Weekly posts every Wednesday on YouTube.com and on podcast services. You can find more about us at WareGaming.com, and you can watch us stream live throughout the week on Twitch.tv/WareGaming_. When we find weeks we want to stream live. If we could stream us watching Smallville live, we would
stream along or watch along streams.
I bet you we could if we just didn't show it and didn't. But I guess
would just show us
watching the movie. Well, you'd have to talk, and I don't want to do that on the show. Anyway, if you want to be a part of the show, you can write into weekly@waregaming.com, and you can tweet to us at waregaming_. We would love for you to be a part of the conversation. Today, we're talking about Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox being under investigation over their online gaming service. We're also talking about some rumors. Jedi Fallen Order having an announcement this Saturday, as well as maybe Persona 5 on Switch, which was announced, or which the leak happened the night we recorded last week. Yep. So
there was a bunch of leaks that happened the night of. We got done recording last week, and Wario64 on Twitter was posting all this stuff. I was like, "Oh, thanks, Wario. I could have used this a couple hours ago."
Well, no one's in our corner. We got to do it ourselves, like Thanos. So, let's kick it off with Ryan Craddock from Nintendo Life, who has the report about the online gaming service.
What are we kicking off?
The who, what, and where.
Thank you.
So, gaming giants Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are all under investigation in the UK over fears that their online subscription services are unfair. The Competition and Markets Authority, a non-ministerial department of the UK government which has the power to enforce competition and consumer law, says that it is concerned about whether some of these companies' business practices are legal, such as their use of auto-renewals for online gaming contracts, their cancellations and refund policies, and their terms and conditions.
That does sound like a British government agency. Like
CMI? Or
the
CMA?
the Competition and Markets Authority.
Yeah.
It sounds like something J.K. Rowling would put in the book. That's all we know about British culture is J.K. Rowling and Gary Whitta.
The emphasis here appears to be being placed upon the auto-renewal of the company's online services, Nintendo Switch Online, PS Plus, and Xbox Live. Andrea Cocelli, not to be confused with, is it
Clearly not going to get them confused because you can't even say them.
Bocelli, I know. Chief executive of the CMA has said the following. Our investigation will look into whether the biggest online gaming companies are being fair with their customers when they automatically renew their contracts, and whether people can easily cancel or get a refund. Should we find that the firms aren't treating people fairly under the consumer protection law, we are fully prepared to take action. The CMA says it has written to all three companies requesting information about such contracts to help better understand their practices. So that's all the information on that right now. But do you think they have much to...
I don't know. I mean, clearly I don't know British law or what say you, but I don't know how those contracts would be any different than like a Netflix subscription
or
Apple or Spotify or Amazon Prime. I don't know if the gaming companies do it any differently than, and it just could be that the government wants to make sure that their practices are in line with what's accepted.
Right now they're just under investigation. It doesn't mean they're actually doing anything wrong.
It could be they've just never confirmed, or this is a more recent policy that they're trying to just make sure everybody's doing things a fair way. To help better understand their practices.
Yeah, and that's all it is. I think for me, in the U.S., if I wanted anything, if I would want anything from any of these services, I have Nintendo Switch Online and PS Plus. Would maybe just like an email reminding you, hey.
Oh yeah, that would be good for anything that's like about to draw out of your account. Like, hey, in 7 days or whatever, we're going to your subscription is up for renewal, and we're going to take the funds as you've allowed.
I mean, as
long as it's clear that you've signed up for an auto renew system, that it's easy to exit an auto renew plan, and as long as those things are clear, I don't see where it's a problem.
I think where it could be a problem, if you think back to the Movie Pass deal. I don't remember all the specific things, but like people had the hardest time canceling it, or like if you didn't cancel it in the right way, because they kept changing what their plans were going to be. Like, well, you just canceled that plan, but if you really, really don't want it, you got to make sure you let us know. But because you didn't like that plan, we're gonna think that maybe you'll like this plan and renew you for that one, unless you absolutely say.
They would actually do that?
That I don't want to like hold you to it, but that was the sense that I got, because I remember I read something that was like, wait, I canceled this, but it makes it sound like I'm not going to be canceled. Like it's not going to cancel. So I went back and was like, I don't want this again.
That would be shady practices. Like if I cancel my yearly auto renew, it goes to a monthly auto renew or something.
Right. It's like, oh, you just didn't mean that you didn't want this. Well, we know what you mean. Yeah. So
we know what you want.
The refund thing, we just read last week about PlayStation offering refunds up to 14 days after that. So there are things that are getting worked on. Nintendo, I haven't had much of a experience with their online service, so I can't really say anything about that for the moment. Also, I'm sick-ish. I have allergies, which I've never really been like, oh, it's allergies. It's usually I'll have a cold, but I
Did you
guess
take a Zyrtec?
not today.
I took one today.
Yeah. Well, why don't you take on this one? So that was the heavy news. Well, the first heavy news of the day. Now we're going to some fun stuff.
All right, going back to those.
Is that big enough for you, Josh?
Yeah, there we go. I can see the pixels. Going back to the leaks that I saw from Wario, but this is from.
You know what? It doesn't even matter. It's from IGN.com. Matt Perslow.
Matt Perslow at IGN. Persona 5, Metroid Prime Trilogy, and A Link to the Past for Switch listed by Best Buy.
Real quick, I just noticed I was holding my pinky out drinking this coffee subconsciously. I'm not getting any fancier.
No.
It was just, you know what?
It was all that. It was all that British talk.
Yeah. You know what? No problem.
No problem.
It's not a problem. Continue.
All right. U.S. retailer Best Buy has listed a Switch release of Persona 5, as well as Metroid Prime Trilogy and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past on its internal staff-only database, according to leaks on Twitter. Photographs of computer screens displaying the database are the source of the leak, which were posted to Imager by user Gru07131. Is there
0731.
Is that Elite Groot 31?
No.
Anyway, and then so it was leaked by this user, posted by this user, and then spread across Twitter by Mystic, a translator specializing in Persona. The image was corroborated by Wario64, who has a long history of accurate video game scoops. Wario64 then went on to upload mobile screenshots from Best Buy system, which shows listings for Metroid Prime Trilogy and Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is a large leak, but one that should be approached with caution. Persona 5 coming to Switch has long been rumored, and the teaser website for P5S suggests a Switch version of Atlas's JRPG is not out of the question. More information will be revealed on April 25th. There's much less to suggest that the Metroid Prime Trilogy and Zelda listings are based in truth. The database allegedly already includes a listing for A Link's Awakening, suggesting Best Buy has not confused Nintendo's upcoming remake for A Link to the Past, but there are no announcements or rumors of another Zelda remake or remaster that we could point to. Similar story for Metroid Prime Trilogy, but you just scrolled past it, so I don't know what the rest of that says.
Yeah. So, just remember, Walmart Canada has all of our interests at heart, except this was Best Buy.
Yeah, this was Best Buy. With Wario64, he specifically said on Twitter that I can confirm that this is basically what the database looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was saying that. I don't know if he is an employee of Best Buy and saying this is in the database, but he would definitely said that this is what it like. It appears to be what it looks like. So
is it? I wonder if it's possible if someone just was playing a trick on everybody and typed in.
But this is the internal servers. I mean, you could maybe accidentally hit the switch button if you're like inputting a bunch of like information into a terminal. Like, okay, we've got the Link to the Past, but like you can't accidentally like mistake the Link to the Past.
Right.
Right. You could say that the Persona 5 thing was just an accident. It should have been PS4 and they just hit the Switch. But with the Link to the Past and Metroid Prime, those aren't going anywhere else clearly.
Right.
And so that's less likely to be a screw up.
Right.
Especially since, like you said, they had the other. It's not like they confused the Zeldas. They have them both listed.
Right. So, very exciting stuff. And of course, now that it's even more likely, or at least more rumory, substantial evidence that maybe Persona 5 is coming to the Switch, I have to make a hard decision about. The April 25th, we will have.
I don't know if we mentioned this last week, but if it's not the Royal Edition,
will it matter?
Would you even be interested?
Yeah.
You would?
I'd probably get them both. Not at the same time.
You can tell we're suckers for Persona.
Yeah. All right.
Persona 5. Persona 4 didn't grab me. Like, I played Persona 4 for, I don't know, I think I played the first, like, week of the school year, and I just couldn't grasp it. I knew it was, you were collecting cards. It was a little different. Your personas were like cards or something, and then you threw them out, kind of like
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, it was still like a turn-based deal, but I just remember I was confused about exactly what we were doing, and I could see that I could get it, but it was going to take a long time.
Yeah.
And playing the Vita hurt my hands.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah, I don't know if for you, Persona 5 on Switch really means anything, because you already, I mean, unless you're, the whole appeal of playing it on the Switch is playing it on the go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get it on the Switch and then play it docked, because then why would I do that? So.
Right.
Xbox Live achievements? I don't know. That would be weird. That would be very weird.
Yeah.
Persona 5 Xbox Live achievements on the Switch. That's like a bad dream. Well, that may be a bad one. But I'm actually excited about this next one, and I don't quite know why. But
we didn't even play the last one.
I know. That's why I say I don't know why. Odd Tease in The Division 2 spills the beans on the next Assassin's Creed. This is from Jason Schreier, Kotaku. I was about to say, well, it doesn't necessarily confirm, but Jason Schreier wrote this, so it does.
Side note on Kotaku, I just heard that their parent company just got bought.
By who?
Univision? Either Univision bought or sold. I don't have I didn't put it in the news because it was very businessy. It wasn't like, there was no like comment from Kotaku saying what was going on because it was just like their parent company was bought or sold by somebody to somebody else. But
Univision is an interesting.
Univision was definitely in the article I read. So,
an unusual teaser in Ubisoft's looter shooter The Division 2, highlighted weeks after the game's release, reveals that the next Assassin's Creed game is all about Vikings. Kotaku can independently confirm the same. The Division 2 launched on March 15th, but it wasn't until this week that discussion about a possible teaser located within the Potomac's Event Center in the game's version of Washington, D.C., started generating buzz. Lightyear. As first made public by YouTuber Jor Raptor, there are numerous posters all over the event center picturing what appears to be a Norse god or traveler adorned with the word Valhalla. What's particularly interesting is that the traveler is holding what appears to be the Apple of Eden, a pivotal piece of technology in Assassin's Creed lore. A few months before this teaser emerged, Kotaku learned from two independent sources familiar with the game that 22's Assassin's Creed codename 2020's what did I say?
22's
2020's Assassin's Creed codenamed Kingdom does indeed star Vikings. We don't know much else about the game, but after the phenomenal Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we're stoked to see what's coming, says Kotaku. So the reason I was excited about this, something you brought up to me when you told me about this, was that when's the last time we really heard about the Apple and Staff of Eden?
It did mention in the article, I kind of zoned out about the Apple.
Yes. The Apple of Eden, I read that part.
Okay.
And I read that part correctly.
Yes, you did. So, yeah, so it showed this, Viking-looking person. I was like, I'm not sure what we're looking at. I don't know why that. And then you see what he's holding. He's holding the Apple of Eden, which is a big.
I thought he was also holding the staff, but
he is holding a staff, and they have had a staff before, but no one else is talking about this staff. So I don't know if we're just misinterpreting the image, or no one else has caught on that there's a staff involved. I can't remember what the staff was specifically.
Didn't the staff hold the apple at the top? Because then the Pope, when we killed the Pope, because that happened, I thought he or maybe the staff did that independently of the apple. I don't really remember. But you had said to me, when's the last time we really talked about any of the pieces of Eden? And that's all the way up until, I guess, Assassin's Creed 3 or Revelations is when I really, 3 came after Revelation.
Yes.
That was what made me excited about Assassin's Creed, was the lore and the the modern day, but also just like who are these ones who came before? It was very out there, and I can see why people were like, this is getting a little too, I just want to run around Rome or whatever, and I get that. But I was fascinated by that stuff, and so in Origins, when they kind of pumped the brakes on it, I was like, well, it wasn't just Origins, but 4 when they started. Anyway, point being, if they're drawing attention to this, I wonder if it's just they just put it there so you know that it's Assassin's Creed related, or if they're really gonna focus in on that.
It's hard to say without I didn't play. I didn't finish Syndicate. I played Unity. I didn't like it. I played a little bit of Syndicate. I appreciated it, but it didn't feel right. And then Origins and Odyssey just don't act like Assassin's Creed games to me.
Mm-hmm.
To me. And after Desmond, they've pretty much all but left the modern day, like the story, the reason you're doing anything in any of these games. They've just left that in the dust. As far as the games I played, so I don't know how much more they built on that in Origins or Odyssey, but so I don't know if those had anything to do with the Apple of Eden,
right,
or the staff or any artifact.
Yeah.
So I can't say whether this league showing the apple is the first time we've seen the apple in forever, because I don't know what they did in Odyssey.
Yeah.
Clearly, but it will be interesting to see if they do bring that in there. I don't want to go over it too much more because, like I said, I just don't know about Odyssey. But do you think we're going to be Viking down
because of God of War?
Well, we have God of War, but also in the mainstream, not just gaming, we have Thor.
Yeah, but that's different.
But if they do this, we'll have 3 different levels of twisted Viking lore. And I don't know if anybody cares, but for us people who we like Thor, we like God of War, and if we could put this in there for if someone's like us, you could start confusing things. I think.
Yeah.
And they clearly can make a game that would work, but it just seems to be now that that's a popular setting.
Vikings are the new zombies. No.
Sure.
Well, I don't know. I think it all depends on how how they pull it off, because I feel like playing God of War and then playing Assassin's Creed, well, obviously very different in their styles. I don't know that you'll fall into the same, but I don't know. Well, if this is really what's going on, we'll have to see.
Or is Assassin's Creed just copying God of War? They just left Greece, and now they're going to Norway.
Yeah.
Who else did that? Kratos.
And
apparently Norway is the place we all need to go.
Yeah.
Because that's where everybody wants to go.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm timidly excited, cautiously optimistic.
Sure.
I did play Origin and Syndicate. I completed Syndicate and I beat Origins.
Okay.
I never 100%ed it or anything. I enjoyed it, but it didn't. I mean, it felt like I was playing. At least with Origins, it kind of felt like a generic RPG game. And I mean, I had fun with some of the things, but it did feel like pretty much generic. Now, everyone loves Odyssey, game of the year noms.
Game of the weird noms.
So maybe there's something I didn't see.
What kind of weird noms is that?
Anyway, so we'll find out more soon-ish. E3, most likely.
Yeah.
All I want is Splinter Cell. Which I don't know why, because I never completed any of the games. But you did.
Oh, yeah.
And they were cool. So, is it your turn?
I think that's my story.
Okay.
Gotta make it bigger. All right, this is from gamesindustry.biz. James Batchelor. Valve finally tackles review bombing as Borderlands 2 attacked over Epic exclusivity. Borderlands 2 is the latest title to suffer review bombing on Steam, but for the first time, Valve has actually done something about it. The company has marked the last week's worth of user reviews as off-topic review activity. A system it previously announced would be used to highlight review bombing activity. Borderlands 2 has received a flood of negative reviews in the past week ever since it was announced that Borderlands 3 would be exclusive to the Epic's game store. Having previously enjoyed 8 years of overwhelmingly positive reviews, it received 3,028 negative user reviews in the space of 7 days. As Valve previously explained, off-topic reviews will be excluded from how the game's overall rating is calculated. Since the system excludes the entire period of off-topic reviews, it also discounts the 2006 positive scores Borderlands 2 was given in the past week, although many of these are either defending against the review bombers or still expressing their hatred for the Epic Games Store but praising the actual game. PC Games Inn spotted a response to the situation from Randy Pitchford, saying the irony is that the very fact review bombing is possible and Steam has done little to tackle it in the past makes me kind of happy about 2K's decision and makes me want to reconsider Gearbox Publishing's current posture on the platform. The site has also noticed a couple of notable developers weighing in on the subject, with Vlambeer's Rami Ismail decrying review bombing as ridiculous and saying user reviews are slowly becoming less and less defensible as a measure of game quality, and platforms without them a safer bet for launch. Former Half-Life and Portal employee Chet Falezek countered that review bombings make it clear players have no effective means of communication with developers where they feel their voices will be heard, so they use one avenue available to them. He added, we can throw out reviews, or we can fix communication. The Epic Game Store has come under fire for securing certain exclusives and frustrating Steam fans. And frustrated Steam fans have taken to review bombing these games on Valve's platform as a response. Speaking to GamesIndustry.biz at GDC 2019, Epic CEO Tim Sweeney said he can understand how gamers don't see how the platform is, quote, making the industry a better place, and encourage developers to hold strong and sometimes be willing to go through criticism as we do things that are necessary for the industry.
So, I actually didn't know much about this until you posted the article.
Mm-hmm.
I like what I think out of all the comments on it, this Czech guy probably had it the best.
Yes.
It makes it clear that players have no effective means of communication with the developers where they can be heard.
Sure.
So regardless of where you feel about Borderlands 2 having exclusivity over there, I mean, if that's a problem, Gearbox needs to know about it.
Yeah.
And needs to know that it's affecting them. But instead, because of how they responded to it, because it's the only way they knew how to respond to it, apparently, instead, Randy Pitchford was like, well, good. We chose right.
I don't know that it's Steam's responsibility to make effective communication. But I think it's their responsibility to make sure their platform is monitoring how things are done. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was I can't remember. There was an example spoken the other day I heard that was like someone had asked all their it was about it was for an advertisement. And some influencer had told all their fans
I heard about that.
to go give this company 1-star reviews to see if they would change what the ad was supposed to say. And I just thought those kind of things are why you need these systems in place to keep people from abusing the system. Just because they're going over to Epic doesn't mean the game is better or worse.
Right.
So having the review bombing to ruin the score is not accurately displaying what
the problem is.
How that game should be viewed, and is clearly not an effective way to speak to developers.
Right.
If you go onto Twitter or to Reddit or anything and just start screaming and yelling and whining about the game and calling the CEO an idiot or you just being nasty, your voice is never ever going to be heard. Because I mean, if someone comes up to you and starts screaming in your face for whatever reason, you're automatically just going to shut them down and get on the defensive.
Yeah.
Instead of having a place to have that discourse and feel like you're being heard, which is what he was saying. That's something that Gearbox and most of these developers need to come to terms with. Even, being a Destiny fan, we've spoken for years about the way Bungie communicates with the players, and some days they'll be very, very good, and so you'll go weeks and you just feel like they're engaging, and you provide them feedback and they're responding to that feedback, and you can see it either in the game or in the way they're talking about how they're fixing the game or updating the game. And then there's sometimes they'll go 6-8 months without really doing much to the game. It feels like you're yelling into a vacuum, and then that's when some of the most hardcore players get frustrated and start just getting toxic, or just not being productive. But once you run out of ways to express your frustration to the point where they're not responding, it leads to that negative outburst.
Right.
And so, yes, they need to engage more with their communities and understand why these people, why you'd be upset if, you pre-ordered or expecting a game on Steam. I've got all my achievements over here or whatever. Kind of like if, I don't know, Persona 5 was all of a sudden an Xbox exclusive, we would be bummed because we've been playing it on PS4.
Yeah.
Or, I can understand the frustration, but, clearly they're doing this for a business sense. Epic gives a better cut, all that jazz. So that's the business side of it, but they do need a place for people to come and say, hey, I don't appreciate this, or I would prefer it like this because I like all the features on Steam versus what's on Epic because X, Y, or Z.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last news story of the day. This comes from Matthew Handrahan, again at gamesindustry.biz. This is a quote: "Accessibility has never and will never be a compromise to my vision. Making games accessible to more players is not a compromise to create a vision," God of War director Cory Barlog has said, stepping into an online debate sparked by Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. From Software's latest title keeps up the studio's tradition of making games that demand repetition for players to make progress through the game. However, Sekiro is widely agreed to be the most difficult game the Japanese studio has released to date. While Dark Souls and Bloodborne did not have difficulty settings, Sekiro has also changed features that allowed players to seek assistance, specifically the ability to summon other players through an online connection. By leaning into its own uncompromising traditions, From Software has sparked a long-standing debate around difficulty and accessibility. I actually did not know that this is where it started.
With Sekiro?
Yeah, that it was because they included this assistance feature.
Well, in the past, it was just part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
There was like shadow players, and there were just other people in the game, and you could.
Okay, so it's saying it did not include.
Yeah. So with Sekiro, it does not.
Oh, I thought it was saying
have that.
It did include. Okay.
But I don't know if there's story implications as to why, because he's like, I guess, alone.
No.
He's a ninja or whatever.
Anyway, for his part, Sony Santa Monica's Cory Barlog had a very clear take. Accessibility has never and will never be a compromise to my vision. Speaking on Twitter, Barlog added, "To me, accessibility does not exist and contradistinction to anyone's creative vision, but rather it is an essential part of any experience you wish to be enjoyed by the greatest number of humans possible. Barlog made it clear that his comments were not a criticism of From Software, a studio he admires. However, the comments do address the notion, fervently defended by one side of this debate, that options to adjust the difficulty of a game like Sekiro would undermine the developer's intent. Accessible features do not equal easy mode, Barlog said. Challenge, even extreme challenge, can coexist with options to allow gamers different from you to play the same game with the same level of challenge. Flambier's Rami Ismail, again, addressed the same idea in response to Barlog asking the question, who said accessibility needs to be easy? The idea was addressed in greater detail by Steven Spahn, COO of Able Gamers, an organization that focuses on making games more accessible for players with disabilities. The only time the word easy keeps being mentioned is by people who don't understand what accessibility is, Spahn said on Twitter. Easy is subjective. What's easy for me may not be easy for someone else, but with difficulty options we can both enjoy an experience together. Spahn added, influential people, journalists, and media outlets are making this confusing by continuing to use the language easy mode. Accessibility means options, not easy gameplay. Spahn stated that From Software should do the right thing and add accessibility options to Sekiro. He also urged the developers to speak out in support of Barlog's statement that such options will never be a compromise. At the time of writing, dozens of developers have done exactly that, repeating Barlog's statement in support of making games more accessible from a greater number of players. And this leads us into this week's topic.
It's a hot topic.
Yes, it is. So accessibility in gaming and dissecting this argument. We, I guess, probably should have grabbed something from people who are saying that it shouldn't be. But we can kind of piece it together ourselves. So, obviously, if you've been on Twitter, you've seen this. It's been like the only thing on Twitter for the last few days, for the last week at least, is, should Sekiro or should hard games have accessibility modes? What is your take from all of this stuff? We had a brief conversation about it, but I told you to hold on.
Yeah, see, when I'm reading it, it sounds like there's two different arguments being confused.
Yeah, and I think
that's what Steven's saying here. It's that I don't know exactly what he needs or what is expected in an accessibility mind frame, because I just don't. But as to take it as simple as I need a way to remap the keys or the controller so I can hold it better, or I can use whatever controller.
I've seen on Twitter him specifically say things that would help would be like extending like parry time, because apparently parrying is a key element. It's like in this accessibility mode, maybe you could extend parrying time because reaction time is harder.
Sure.
Or give me more life, or give them less life. Still have the challenge of it's still going to be hard, but if my reflexes are slower, or blah blah blah. I'm paraphrasing a lot.
So there's that argument where, just like Corey was saying, there's accessibility is not an easy mode. It's not about decreasing the difficulty so you don't have to get good to play these From Software games. It's about allowing people who don't have the same physical abilities as everybody else, or not everybody else, but you don't have that same physical ability or reaction time to play these games and still be challenged by them. But that argument is being confused with, well, these games are hard for a reason, and they don't want them to be easy. And that's not...
Yeah.
It's like we have a different wall in front of us.
Yeah, I mean,
Steven just wants to be able to play the game, but he physically can't because of circumstances in his life. It has nothing to do with him not being good at video games.
Right.
It's just a physical disability. Whereas I can't beat Sekiro because I suck at games. I don't necessarily want an easy mode so I can beat the game.
Right.
That would be defeating, not defeating, but you know, the purpose that purposely didn't put an easy mode for people like me to go in and just waltz through the story because reasons.
Right.
So there's two different arguments there, and there for some reason there's this heated debate because of how hard these From Software games are. That only you have to get good at it to beat it.
Right. Yeah, I was curious when I heard about all this. Is this the first time, or is this just the loudest time this argument's been made? Because I'm like, it's no secret that all of these other games have been challenging. Now, according to the article, this one's the most challenging, according to the author. But so one is like, well, how long has this debate really been going on? Not to say that it holds any less clout if they didn't complain about it before, or address it before.
Yeah.
But some of the comments that I've been seeing people say, or some of the questions people have, you're very much on the nose. And it's people have this idea that because it's accessible means it's easy, and so it's just like you're on different lanes of the highway. You're not even driving at the same point.
Yeah.
And I've seen it's like him repeat to some people over and over again, this is my point. And then like the example of extending parry times or life or whatever like that. When you hear stuff like that, I guess to an able-bodied person, it's like, well, then that just makes it easy. Well, like for you,
you're right.
It doesn't like, and I've seen a lot of posts, a lot of sentiments from just random people that I agree with the most, which was having an ability, having an option in a game that you will never use doesn't hinder you from enjoying the game.
Right.
And I think that like if I never play, like I played Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm proud. And that was the first time I've ever played a Kingdom Hearts game, I'm proud. It could have been harder, to be honest. Yeah. But had, like, proud been the only option, and there wasn't a beginner or whatever the things are, like, or, I'm missing my point. I said my point, which is, and I think at the end of the day, that's all that really needs to be said. Now, does From need to do this? And that's the thing, and I don't want to, get myself into hot water here. It says Spawn stated that you should do the right thing and add accessibility options to Sekiro, and I don't want to say that they shouldn't do it.
But they should they have to do it?
Right, and you've heard me say, when I've personally talked about, I want art to be more accessible to people. I, maybe nearsightedness or blinders. In my mind, I've always talked about it in a kind of financial sort of way, or an outreach sort of way, where it's just like there are just people in the world who don't have access to these, because using like theater as like there are people who live in rural towns who will never see a show that is magnificent and could change their life because
they can't
afford it, or they don't even know it exists because it's in they live in the middle of nowhere. So I've always been a proponent of I've used the term accessibility, and I think I've used it incorrectly but when I hear about stuff like this, I'm like that's it too. People who live in different circumstances should have the ability to enjoy the same art in any way that they can. Should they do the right thing and add this? What I kind of would like to happen, just so it can be put to bed, is that they don't. They just, we've published a game, this is the game. But I'd like to see going forward it being talked about.
Sure.
And Steven Spawn and I think his name's Steven too.
Steven Saylor.
the blind gamer, as he calls himself, have been, you know, consulted about accessibility in games at Ubisoft and other things. And when you think about what the Division 2 has done, by creating a whole customizable UI that you can make the map as big as the screen, bigger than the screen, like if you wanted to, having those kind of options, I think, really show that there are headway.
Ways to add accessibility options. I'm with you. Do the right thing. Maybe maybe they can add, remapping and that kind of stuff to a game. But what line do you have to draw on a game to be like, we don't know what else. Clearly they haven't done enough in this situation to allow that. I'm not saying that Steven's wrong here, but at what point can I publish a game and how many how can I have it accessible to everybody?
Right.
And I don't think that's possible, but that's not to say we shouldn't try.
Yeah.
But we also can't handcuff developers to accessibility options. If you're a one-person team, does that mean you can't publish your game unless everybody can play your game?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The argument
From Software is not the one. They're big enough. They can potentially do something to make it more accessible. But if I were to make a game, I don't know if I could, even if I put enough all my money and resources and time into this, I don't know if I could meet all everybody's.
Yeah. The handcuffing,
but I'm not
the argument that it's kind of, it borders on, and I don't think you mean it this way. It kind of borders on the I can't say a racist joke, very very loosely, but it's kind of like, well, because now everyone's offended by something, I can't say something anymore. Ultimately, but what you're saying is, I think developers have the right to publish whatever they want.
Yeah.
And that whether or not they include accessibility options is up to them, or finances. But
sure.
if I think if they have the means, then they should. There should not be
the answer shouldn't be no. I don't want to put accessibility options in here because I don't think they should be in there.
That should not be if it's, and I think if it's, we found out that this particular person can't play this game for X reasons. What are those reasons? What can we do? And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what both Steves that we've talked about, Steven Spahn and Steve Saylor, do. They go and do consult for accessibility, and I think that's absolutely what we need. And the more people that understand, the more outside the box we can get about getting people to be able to play games, like the adaptive controller. I think that is all, positive things moving towards the right.
I'm trying to think of an analogy that is probably better than what I was trying to say. In like movies or something, like should a movie? Well, I said like I can't say a racist joke, but that's not what I really meant. I guess I just mean is, when we start talking about diversity in art and movies and stuff, I think there's this conversation about there's no white people in Game of Thrones or something like that, or there's only white people in Game of Thrones or something like that. I saw an article about this the other day, or there's only white people in this, or Egypt gods, whatever, with Christian Bale and Sigourney Weaver and all that stuff. It's like
the whitewashing.
If that production company wants to make a movie about Egypt and cast a bunch of white people, they can. They did. But who is that benefiting? So
I'm not following that one either, because if I'm making a game, I'm not intentionally
you're not intentionally sectioning people off.
Right. I'm not choosing not to include, Egyptians in my Egyptian movie because Christian Bale's better or whatever. It's that it's more of I don't necessarily have the capabilities to add the accessibility option.
To add the Egyptians in this Egyptian movie.
Right. It's complicated. It's complicated, and we absolutely need more accessibility. I'm definitely not saying that, but I think it's all about this argument about accessibility does not equal easy mode.
Yeah, and that is the point.
That is the crux of the argument, and that's for some reason there's a brick wall between this argument, and I don't know if there's an answer that Sekiro or From Software can put out there that makes. There's definitely not an answer that makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
Because to the diehards get good crowd, any accessibility options is easy mode. Mm-hmm. But they're thinking about it as an able-bodied person.
Right.
And sure, if I turned on the accessibility mode that works for Steven and it's difficult for him and I played it, it might be easy. Like you said, it might be easy for me because I have plenty of time to do it. But for him, it's just as challenging as if I played it on the standard mode.
Yeah.
So.
I think that was a good discussion. But
we don't have all the answers, but we can talk about it. If you all have perspectives and opinions about it, let us know, and we'll bring it up next time.
Absolutely. So before we go, a few things to say. Out this week, a few games to mention. Vaporum coming to Switch on April 11th.
I said Vaporeon.
No.
Vaporeon coming to Switch. No.
I feel like these are somehow related. Vaporum, I bet you, is a game about vaping. And there's Weedcraft Inc. on PC, April 11th. That's a game about, vaping something else. Final Fantasy X and X -2 HD Remaster comes to Xbox One and Switch. That's April 16th. My Time at Porsche. PS4, Xbox One, and Switch.
I knew a Porsche once, so that sentence is weird to me. Yeah. But I'm sure that's a place.
Yeah. And World War Z on PC, PS4, and Xbox One on April 16th. Also, coming up this weekend, we mentioned this at the top of the show, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is about to be shown off for the very first time. This is Respawn's game. Mm-hmm. They did, obviously, Titanfall 2, Apex Legends most recently.
And I saw a tweet from Mitch Dyer, who was one of the co-writers of the Battlefront campaign.
Yeah.
He said, "Trust me, you do not want to miss this."
Wow. So this weekend there is the what do they call it? The
Star Wars
Celebration. They've confirmed that they will be talking about the game. The live stream is Saturday, April 13th. If you are in North America, you'll be able to watch it at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30
Mountain
MDT, 1:30 CDT, and 2:30 Eastern. If you are in the UK or Ireland, it'll be 7:30 BST. Europe, 8:30 p.m. CEST, and 9:30 p.m.
You know what? Y'all can figure out.
Look it up. But what do you think we'll get? Do you think it's going to be more do you think it's going to be more akin to like a Force Unleashed, or do you think it's going to be more akin to like Uncharted or Titanfall? I guess. No.
Respawn is a first-person studio.
But they've said that this is not a first-person game.
They said it's not first-person?
From this article that I grabbed from...
Described as a third-person action... I have no idea what this game is. Respawn is Call of Duty and Titanfall, Apex Legends, all first-person shooters. I have no idea what they're doing here.
Yeah.
We will find out Saturday, though.
We'll be talking about it next week. So that's the show.
This is EA's chance to show us that they deserve the license.
So that's our show for April 10th, 2019. Remember, you can always find us on youtube.com and on podcast services. Just type in Ware Gaming, and we will be there. If you want to be a part of the show, write in to weekly@waregaming.com. Let us know what you thought about the accessibility conversation and if you have a different perspective. And then you can tweet to me at SpeakNicklish.
You can tweet to me at JossTid15.
You can tweet to us at WareGaming_.
And until next time, say goodbye, Nick.
Bye, Nick.
See ya.
I'm holding that one in for 55 minutes.